Okay, continuing on. Here is what happened. Hungry Jack tottered towards us. The front tire of his bicycle jerked this way and that, but somehow the man kept rolling. Hungry Jack's eyes were fixed directly on Robbie and me. When he stopped his bicycle, Hungry Jack was 10 feet away from us. He stood at the edge of the dark near a low easement that separated the blacktop from the parking lot from the blacktop of the highway. At first, the old man was motionless, straddling the top tube of the bike frame with his feet planted on either side. Hungry Jack's chin was slick with drool. But that wasn't uncommon for him. Hungry Jack had no front teeth. He stared at Robbie. Hungry Jack knew Robbie. For all I could tell, I was invisible to the man. Robbie took a big drag from his cigarette. He said, "Hey, Jack, you want a cigarette?" Jack stared and drooled. "He's freaking out on you, Rob," I whispered. "Let's just leave." "Maybe he's exhausted from the long ride," Robbie said. Then he asked again, "Want to smoke, Jack?" Hungry Jack wobbled. He raised his right knee and got off the bicycle. Hungry Jack released his grasp on the handlebars and his bicycle crashed in a noisy heap. A thermos bottle with a small amount of gasoline in it rolled away toward the curb. Robbie smoked. Hungry Jack looked at Robbie. He took 2 steps forward toward us and stopped. The whole time, I never saw the man blink once. He also never said anything to Robbie. Then Hungry Jack turned around and stepped over the low hedge that bordered the parking lot. He lumbered like a sleepwalker out onto the highway. Hungry Jack walked directly into the path of a Dodge pickup that was speeding in the direction headed away from Ely. The truck never slowed, even after the concussive thud the old man's body made when Hungry Jack went spinning and cartwheeling down the road. Things like that happen, I know it all the time. But Robbie and I never saw it right in front of our faces. "Holy shit, Rob," I said. Robbie said, "Holy shit." The thing in the cornfield. Something else happened too. We did not talk about it at school. Shan wondered why Robbie and I were both so sullen that next day. We told her we were tired. I asked if the noise in her wall had come back, but our unplugging the teletype machine had put an end to the typing routes problem in the McKeon house. What are we going to say, Rob?" I asked him. "Are you going to tell Shan we were hanging out in the parking lot of a gay bar smoking cigarettes, and that we saw Pastor Roland Duff out cruising, just smoking cigarettes, and we saw out cruising just before some homeless guy stepped in front of a Dodge truck? We're going to tell her what happened after that?" "What did happen after that, Austin?" "I don't still believe we saw that shit. Because what happened was this. We ran out into the highway to see if we could help Hungry Jack. It was terrible. It took us several minutes to find him. The truck had thrown the old man's body more than 100 feet through the air. We found Hungry Jack lying in a field of waist-high corn on the opposite side of the highway from the tally-ho. He had been knocked completely out of his shoes, and his dirty pants had been pulled down, turned entirely inside out, and twisted around his broken legs. Hungry Jack wasn't just dead, he was destroyed. I had never seen anyone dead before. Neither had Robbie. I thought about Chris Zerbo saying goodbye to his father on the boat in the middle of the ocean. How scared and alone he must have felt. I thought about St. Casimir and Pastor Roland Duff across the street from us. "Holy shit, Rob," I said. I stepped closer to the dangled wreckage of the old man. Robbie said, Don't touch him. He just walked right in front of that shit, I said. We need to call someone, Rob said. I took my phone out of my pocket and turned it on. Then Hungry Jack moved his arms. His chest heaved and collapsed and wriggled around in the dirt between the young corn stalks and what had been moved down when he tumbled and tumbled and tumbled through the field. Stay still, I tried to tell him. Robbie and I stood back, afraid to get too close. From the light on my cell phone screen, I could see how there was blood all over the place. Pieces of Hungry Jack were sticking out from his belly and from the top of his head. But the old man wheezed and writhed around in the dirt. It looked like he was breaking apart. He was coming apart like a soft-boiled egg, oozing thick, yellowy blood, thick, yolky blood. Let's get somebody, Robbie said. My hand shook so bad I could not even punch 3 emergency digits on my phone. I could not look away from the thrashing heap in the cornfield. Hungry Jack split entirely in half, the same way you'd cleave the husk of a roasted peanut, all the way from his skull to the fork of his crotch. Then he began turning inside out. This is exactly what happened. It wasn't the Hungry Jack was actually turning, but something was coming out of the peanut shell of the old man's body. The thing flopped and crawled stiffly like a newborn calf, all slicked and covered with blood and slippery goo. Holy shit, we both said over and over. Robbie grabbed my shoulder. I grabbed back. We stood there, shaking and holding each other, and we watched as 6-layered bug, the size of a small man, crawled like some kind of wind-up mechanized toy out of the hallowed remains of Hungry Jack. It wiped itself clean, and with 4 of its appendages bringing to spiny hands up to its mandibles, licking itself clean and dry without cracking or smacking bug mouth sounds. The thing's head was triangular. It looked like a praying mantis, only it was as tall as we were. It was identical to those of pics of giant bugs. To those things. Pieces of giant bugs. Robbie and I had been following since inside sealed aquarium displays in Johnny McKeon's office 2 nights before. Those things were not alive. This one was, and it came out of Hungry Jack's body. The thing hissed and moved towards us. Its head pivoted and turned in a near-complete circle. It froze, the point of its chin directly at Robbie, looking, and then it backed away. I pulled Robbie's shirt so hard it nearly came off the top of his head. We took off running. We did not look back. Part 3. We're doing pretty good. Okay. Going to bed. Night.